instruction, safety measures, staffing, and then at the end, as I said, we're going to have a question and answer session in which you'll ask your question in the chat room, and then it'll be asked by Gina or John. They will read it aloud. Okay, first and foremost, the plan. I know that I sent out a document this morning to families that was quite extensive, and many of you said, I don't want to read all this, can I have the Cliff Notes? If you were to go to page 51, that really starts the portion of the plan that's tailored to the school districts. The first half of it is a lot of the legal information that's come down from the state. So we took that, and Strauss Esme put it together into a policy format. Please make sure that you are muted, and when you're coming in, because we do hear background noise. And so the first half of it is really just the legal. Are we good, Gina? All right.
I think so.
Okay. So the first half of it is just the legal portion. And then the second half, starting on 51, is really where you're going to see the meat of the plan tailored to our school district. Please remember that this is a fluid document. So what does that mean? It means that every day the DOE seems to be changing things. So we're going to have to adjust our plan based on those regulations that are coming down from the state. Also, it's going to change based on the needs of our staff and our students. So we're going to get into this a little bit more. If our staff is not available to do in-person instruction, our plan may be adjusted accordingly. So please note that this is a fluid document. It's going to be continually changing. All right, so what is the model of instruction going to look like? We're going to have a hybrid versus 100% virtual instruction. First, the hybrid model. Those are the students that are going to be coming in 2 days a week. I'm going to explain. Some of our students are going to be coming in on Mondays and Thursdays. That's the green group or the A group. The other students are going to come in on Tuesdays and Fridays. That's the gold group or the B group. Now, if you're a student that comes in physically on Monday, on Tuesday you're home, but you're logging into the classroom virtually. I'll say that again. Monday you physically come in, Tuesday you're virtual, but if you have class at 8:30 in the morning, you are to log in at 8:30 in the morning and watch the instruction taking place in the classroom. Wednesdays, nobody's in. We do deep cleaning, and the teacher may assign students some work to do that day or to catch up on some things, and the teachers can catch up on some virtual and how our students are going to come to school if they're on that. So there's two choices. They're going to come either on Monday and Thursday or Tuesday and Friday. The days that they are home, they're still expected to log in and see instruction. Our self-contained groups, our special ed self-contained, will be coming 4 days a week. Those students will be contacted directly by their case manager. So if they're going to be coming in 4 days a week, they will know because the case manager will call the parent. Wednesdays, everyone's home. Students will be given assignments to do, and teachers will catch up on virtual instruction that day or anything that they need to catch up on, and a deep cleaning will take place on the schools on that day. Our vocational students will be getting VOTEC. We just don't know how it's going to look yet. We don't know if it's going to be 2 days a week or 4 days a week, depending on if we can get the busing. So we're working with Durham right now to see what that's going to cost. We usually do a consortium, and we can't do that because we don't want students from different schools on buses together. So once VOTEC is ironed out, we will let parents know if it's 2 or 4 days a week. Okay, virtual instruction. A lot of the parents have completed a survey. If you didn't do that, that's fine. We are going to have a Google form on the district website that will be emailed out to parents as well. If you're choosing 100% virtual instruction for your child, you're going to fill this form out. Karen Kenny offered to manage this, so she will be pushing out that form to parents. We would like you to fill that out by August 15th. If you're going to select 100% virtual learning, the deadline for that is August 15th, and you will not be able to change your selection until January 1st when this plan expires. Follow-up will take place from the school. We'll make sure that that's the option that you want. Those students that pick 100% virtual learning will be logging into the teacher's classroom Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. So they will be 100% virtually learners. So for example, if your child was in a second grade classroom, they're still part of that classroom. They're just logging into the classroom virtually 4 days a week. Wednesdays, everybody is virtual and home. Teachers will have the option to record their lessons. They're not required to. If they choose to do that, they can stick them in Google Classroom and students can watch them afterwards. A lot of the parents have asked me, so my child is going in physically on Monday. Tuesday, they're supposed to log in at 8:30 their math class. What if they don't do it? Well, then it's going to be on them to get the work done in Google Classroom. The teacher is not required to put the lessons, or excuse me, to put their recorded lessons in there. But if they do, the child could watch it at a later time. It's going to be in their best interest to log into the classroom when they're supposed to be logging in virtually. What are our instructional expectations? So all students will have access to a Chromebook, and if they needed a hotspot. There's the same expectations if they're in person sitting in a classroom or they're remotely logging into the classroom. So Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, they are going to either be sitting in the classroom watching a teacher or they're going to be remotely logging in. Please make sure you're muted. Gina, mute everyone.
Sorry.
Okay, here we go. Google Classroom is the platform that we're going to be using for all students, pre-K up to 12. Attendance will be taking daily. Elementary school, it's daily. And then with the junior high school, it's going to be taking per period. So the question has come up, so they can't be there on this day during this period. How does attendance affect them? Attendance is going to be taken. If they're missing a lot of the classes virtually and their grade is poor, it's going to be on them because they missed that form of instruction. So the expectation is that either they're physically sitting in a desk or they're home logged in watching the teacher. Assessments will be given and grades will be given. Standard based in the elementary, the standard way of grading in junior high and high school. Safety measures are extensive and they're laid out in the plan. Just to give you some highlights of the safety measures. Masks will be worn. Anytime a child cannot socially distance, they have to wear a mask. So if they're on the bus, if they're in a hallway, if they're in any area that's crowded, once they're sitting in a desk, if they're socially distanced, which they will be because we have the desks 6 feet apart, then they can take their mask off. Temperature checks are going to occur as they enter into the building. We have new technology that we've ordered that when they walk in, we'll be able to sense if someone has a temperature. And then we're going to follow up with the school nurse. We have a lot of the thermometers where we scan the forehead and we can see if they have a fever. If they have a fever, they're put into an isolation area. The parent is contacted, and then you'll be asked to come get your child. Meal distribution will look different. Everything is grab and go, and the cafeterias have been set up where they're socially distanced. Elementary school, they're going to be using the cafeteria part of the time, and then in the classrooms to eat, and then we're going to swap. So everyone is socially distanced. We've also ordered some of those plexiglass partitions for the cafeteria and the eating areas. Recess and phys ed look different. There are no locker room use and no classroom playground use, and students have to stay 6 feet apart. Heavy cleaning takes place on Fridays. It takes place after school every day, and in the junior high and high school on Saturdays. A lot of the people have been asking, what about in between classes? Like they switch classes or if students are moving. The expectation is that the student wipes up their area and that the cleaning takes place once again after school, the heavy cleaning by the custodial crews. CDC guidelines are followed and they're changing often. So people say, what happens if a child gets COVID and tests positive? What do? We contact the CDC. Depending on the severity or where that child has been, we follow the CDC guidelines. Staffing, I'm letting parents know because this is a law. The Emergency Family Leave Act has come out. It started April 1st of this past April 1st, and it goes to December 31st. And it requires employers to provide paid sick leave time for extenuating circumstances due to the coronavirus. So what does that mean? If a staff member suspects they may have caught it and have to self-isolate, if they do have it, if they cannot come into work because of a pre-existing medical condition, if their child's place of school or daycare has shut down, they are entitled to up to 12 weeks off. So what does that mean for us? Well, if we don't have the staff, we obviously can't run a school district. So staff have been sent out the forms today, and if they anticipate taking a leave, they are going to let us know. It has to be approved. It has medical documentation to back it up. And if we do not have adequate staff to run the school districts, we will be 100% remote. So that is something that could come, and I want parents to know that right now. Moving on to the next slide. So based on the information that you read in the plan, which is very long, and the information we reviewed briefly today, please keep yourself muted. You're going to type your questions in the chat room, and Gina or John Bernardo or Aaron Lichtenwalder will ask your question aloud, and it will be answered. If you feel like your question was not answered appropriately or in its entirety, please follow up with me, and I will make sure that you get the answer. Okay, John or Gina?
Okay.
I've been answering a lot in the chat, Dr. McCooley, so.
Okay, good.
Will there be sports and clubs?
Yeah.
Oh, good question. There will, as of right now, and I say this a lot, there are athletics, and a question that has come up is, if my child is virtual, can they still participate in sports? Yes. There is a rumor that the governor is going to be shutting down sports. It's a rumor, but every day we seem to learn some new information. But as of right now, today, there are sports and your child can participate in them. Clubs we are running right now in the junior high and high school, but we're running them virtually right now. In the elementary school, we are not running clubs, but we do have morning care and aftercare.
Melissa, why wouldn't Wednesday be a normal day of instruction? Just offer it virtually.
We're not having it because this is playing a significant burden on our teachers and our staff. They do need a day to catch up with the students that are 100% virtual or doing new Google Classroom items. And also we do need that day for deep cleaning. So there are a group of students in Monday, there's a group of students in Tuesday, and then we want to make sure that the school has a deep cleaning on Wednesday. John or Gina?
Gina, this is more for you, but how will gate be handled, or if Dr. Clark is in here?
If she's not here, I can take that. Pretty much the same as it would be if they were coming to school. So if they are students that are in the hybrid model, they would be coming either Monday, Thursday, or Tuesday, Friday, depending on what group. So their gate group would be split into two, depending on how that falls. So some of the students will be in class, some of the students might be virtual, and then there also are the remote students. So it would just be the same way that we normally implement the GATE program. They would have their same science classes. They would still be cohorted together, but some of them would be remote and some of them would be in class.
Okay, some people are asking for certain slides to be shown and to go back over. This presentation was recorded at noon, and we did put it on Facebook and both districts' website. So if you want to go back in and look over the information that's on there, that's recorded.
And I will make sure that James Bond and Terry have a copy of the PowerPoint, and we could put that right on the website. But if there's a particular question you have about it, please let us know. Something I know that may be of question because we had to go through it and then we got disrupted. If your child has been selected for the A group or the green group, and you cannot be in that group for whatever reason, or your other child is in a different group, you're going to contact the school. You're going to contact the building principal in the elementary district or the guidance department at 7 through 12. And you're going to say, listen, I can't be in this group because of this, and we will switch you.
So one of the questions here is about deep cleaning. When will it be done? Will it be done at the end of every day? So
and Wednesdays and Saturdays in the junior high school.
The child is hybrid and sick, non-COVID. What is required to return to school? Doctor's note, question mark?
So if they're sick and they do not have COVID,
Can I jump in, Melissa?
yes.
So there is a lot of guidance right now. So for example, if a student went home with a sore throat and was running a fever and we sent them home from school, we would need some type of documentation saying that it wasn't COVID. Say they tested positive for strep throat and they bring that note back in. But if there are any symptoms that are around the COVID, that are in the box of COVID symptoms, we would need a doctor's note for them to return. So it is really a challenge right now with the CDC. But say, for example, they said they had an ear infection and they're on antibiotics and here's the doctor's note to prove it. That's why they had the fever. They wouldn't have to be quarantined for 2 weeks.
Thanks, Karen.
Good question.
All right. Will they have access to lockers throughout the day for high school, or do they have to carry around their belongings in their book bag?
Great question. So in the junior high, because there's only 2 grade levels, at this point, the plan is to allow them to have a locker because we can give them like every 3rd locker, we can assign them to. In the high school, we are not assigning lockers at this point. If on a case-by-case basis, a child does need a locker, then they will just go to the administration and they will determine whether they can give them a locker or not.
All right, next one is, does this apply to preschool?
Preschool has a completely different setup. At this point, because of the numbers, they are coming in 5 days a week. And do you want to expand a little bit on that?
Sure. In preschool, we happen to have really large classrooms. We've also been able to reduce the amount of materials and the furniture in a classroom. So we reduced the number of centers down to 5, and we are able to socially distance within that classroom. Therefore, we can fulfill the enrollment that we currently have in coming in person. And, a developmentally appropriate preschool classroom does happen face-to-face. It's very important to have the children in the classroom interacting with their peers as well as the staff members. We will definitely be using all of the safety and health protocols with the masks and cleaning, et cetera. So our classrooms will look a little different than they did last year, but I'm confident that they'll still remain high quality.
Thanks, Ann.
Question is, will there be late buses and will the hours of school be the same in Pinelands as last year?
The hours are the same right now. If we go 100% virtual, we're going to alter that a bit. And yes, there are late buses. I believe we're running the 4:30, but we'll send all that information out to you.
Also, if we do gym, how are we going to change, or are we not going to change?
So, Mr. Henderson, would you like to take that one? Are you on? He may not be. I know Mr. Shore is on.
Yes. No, you're good. So
There we go.
at the high school, we are, they're not changing for gym. So the lockers won't be utilized for that. So I would just plan on not having to worry about changing.
If your
Hi,
child, I'm sorry. If
No,
your
go ahead.
child is the hybrid version on virtual days, do they have to be logged in from 8:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m.? And will their teacher be teaching live?
Their teacher will be teaching live. They have to be logged in, but it's not that amount of time. It's just like if they were in school. So they're going to log in the morning. Lunchtime, they can go off and eat their lunch on their own. If they have to go to a special, they'll go to their special on a different Zoom, or if the teacher comes in the room, they can stay in. But the expectation is that they're logged in while instruction is taking place.
This one is, how will band class be held in the high school?
Mr. Henderson or Mr. Molesky, either one.
So they're still planning on having band at the high school. We've got some, they're getting some additional PPE, some protective gear for the teacher, the instructor, and for that class so they can hold class like they would normally would. Is that right, Matt?
Yeah, I apologize. My internet connection's a little unstable, but yeah, I've been working with Mr. Majoros and Dr. Atkins to ensure everyone's safety, and we're taking the necessary precautions because, yeah, those definitely present unique situations, those classes.
This question is, when will we know if we have adequate staffing?
That's a great question. And listen, this is a challenge for us too. A lot of the staff have reached out to me already with some concerns. We have face-to-face Zoom conversations, and we're really working through this. It's new to everyone, and there's a lot of apprehension with some of our staff, and I completely understand that. We sent the forms out today to both districts, and we're encouraging them as soon as possible, if they know they have a medical condition, to get those forms to me. So, you know, we're at the end of July now. We're hoping to know sooner than later. The other piece you have to remember is a lot is going on a state level, and they may make us go virtual anyway. So we have a plan in place if we're ready to go, and we're going to have to just adjust as things come at us.
Erin, there's a couple of questions about special education students and masks. So did you want to elaborate on that? Is it a general topic?
Sure, no problem. So we're going to be looking at everything for special education on an individualized basis. So in terms of getting your child, we've had some questions about being excused from wearing masks. We will be looking at, the student's disability and their need and their ability levels. As Dr. McCooley mentioned in the last meeting, we also have the clear face shields that if we need those and they work better for our students with special needs, we can use those. But if you have a medical note, or we feel that we need to update the IEP to reflect that a child cannot wear a mask, we will be considering all of those things on an individual basis.
Thank you. Next question is, how will attendance policy work for students?
That's a question I've been getting a lot. So it's obviously not a normal school year. The expectation is that the students are either present Monday, Thursday, Tuesday, Friday, or if they're virtual, they are logging in and watching the live instruction. Elementary teachers are taking attendance every day, whether they're virtual or sitting in front of them. And the high school, junior high teachers are taking attendance every period. So parents have said, so what if my child doesn't show up to period 3 virtually? We are going to note that attendance wise. And if that child is not doing well in that class when they get their grade, we're going to say, listen, they missed X, Y, Z amount of classes. So we do expect them to be logging in. Another parent had a really good question too. My child typically goes in on Monday and Thursday, and then they get sick. Can they log in on those days now to be counted present? And yes, now they have that option that if they're sick, they can actually virtually see the teacher. So it's a little more convenient that way.
This one is, will teachers social distance from students in class?
Yes, they will. It's set up that way, and trust me, teachers are nervous, so they're going to want to protect themselves. So the classrooms are set up that they are socially distanced. Elementary level, we made them take a lot of their personal items out of the classroom, so we have more space so everybody can keep socially distanced from each other.
Melissa, what is the date? I'm sorry, we need to make our decisions by.
I'm sorry, say it again, Gina.
What is the date we need to make our decision by?
Decision for what?
I believe that would be about the remote or.
So on August 15th, if you're going to go virtual, you need to let us know and fill the form. I know they did them today. Jackie Tresolino and Karen Kenny, they're going to have them on the website, and then they'll email you the link too if you want to apply for that.
And this question is, how will morning and aftercare work in terms of numbers and social distancing?
Tess is going to be following the same guidelines as summer camp. So she's going to have to keep her numbers to a certain percent. And remember, only 50% of the kids are in every day or less, because some parents are keeping their kids home. That's their selection. So she's going to follow the same guidelines and regulations that she did for summer camp.
My child will be a senior. Can he drive himself to school?
Yes. Yes.
What about children that get school services such as OT, PT? Will that be done in the classrooms or in a shared space?
So I was just sort of looking at the chat to try to go through all the special ed questions at once. For related services, we're going to do our best to minimize transitions. So, we're going to look at each individual child and say, and I'm just going to apologize. My 2-year-old is going to lose it in a few minutes. So if she cries, I apologize. But what we're going to do is we're going to do an individual basis for our related services. We're going to try to do some virtually. Even if the children are in school, we can have some virtual sessions. If there's space in the classroom, we can have the related service providers come in and work in the back of a classroom to get those services done. One of the other questions was about counseling, and we definitely will have counseling available for gen ed and special ed students for whoever needs that.
Thanks, Erin.
I'm just going to jump into, I know Erin is planning on having a Zoom special ed session, because there are a lot of questions, rightfully so. So she will be following up with those parents.
Okay, this is, would it be possible for all lessons to be recorded? I understand it is voluntary, but I believe it would be beneficial for students who need additional help or are unable to log in during that time. To reduce the workload for teachers, an idea would be for teachers within a grade to make a library together. For example, if there are 5 fifth grade teachers, can they divide the curriculum to create videos?
So unfortunately, we cannot require the teachers to do that. The guidance that we're getting from the NJA on a state level, from what I've been told, is that they are supporting the live feed of instruction because they know students are going to have to be home learning virtually, but they are not supporting the recording. And with contractual obligations, at this point, we cannot require them to record themselves. We are encouraging it.
We have the same question as we had before about the internet going down. So we will be providing hotspots if you have some internet issues. We did budget for that. If it's something where it's on an individual basis where maybe you just had a bad day with the internet or whatever, you can just let the teachers know or let your child let their teacher know, because we know that that happens and we have to understand that that is part of the process of virtual learning.
This question's about VOTEC. My child is scheduled to go to VOTEC every day. Will there be transportation available?
So I briefly went over this and I apologize because of the situation, but right now we do have the capability of sending them to VOTEC 4 days a week, possibly 5. We're trying to keep that Wednesday for just deep cleaning. The issue that we have is Pinelands kids would get picked up for VOTEC at the high school, then they would go to Central. And from Central, they would get on another bus to go to wherever VOTEC school they were going to. Understandably, Central does not want them to do that because now you're cross-contaminating different schools. However, Central owns their own buses and do that. We do not. So what we're trying to do, we got a quote from Durham. They've been wonderful. There's an additional cost right now of like $200,000 to send our kids to VOTEC. But what we're looking at is possibly piggybacking with Southern because they own their own buses. So maybe driving our kids to Southern where they can go and then go to VOTEC. So we don't know whether it's 2 days or 4 days yet, but we are sending them to VOTEC.
Melissa, these are 2 questions that are kind of related. What is the protocol for applying to come back to school if we initially select virtual learning? And I filled out the forms and might want to change my mind since this meeting. Are we able to change?
So at this point, you can forget what those surveys said because we're going to put the form out and we're going to have parents fill the form out if you want to do virtual. Once you fill out that form that you want to do virtual and August 15th happens and we plan, you cannot change your mind. Your child is virtual until January 1st, which is when the plan expires. So, however, if you're a child that is in person and you want to switch to virtual, that's fine. You can let us know that at any time.
All right, this is from a student. For hybrid students, if someone is COVID positive, how will the school quarantine be handled and how long will it last?
So we put the child into isolation until they're picked up, and then the CDC guidelines will let us know how long they have to be home for and quarantined until they can come back.
Melissa, this one is about incoming 7th graders. How will they be acclimated to their new school?
That's a great question, and we didn't go over this yet. There will be orientation for 7th grade and for freshmen and for elementary level for our Bass River kids and anyone that's new. So we are going to set up small group orientations where you're going to get to tour the building in small groups. And then other information that was typically pushed out in a large group, like in an auditorium, we may do that in like separating everybody or just push that out through a video. But you will have an opportunity to tour the building if you're going to be an in-person student.
Okay. When will we know if we have the option of virtual versus hybrid versus all virtual for us full-time working parents to let employers know?
So right now, the option is the expectation is that every student is a hybrid student. So you're either going to be Monday, Thursday, or Tuesday, Friday. If you want to be virtual 100%, you'll let us know. So the expectation right now is that you're going to be physically in the building Monday and Thursday or Tuesday and Friday.
Will there be any kind of counseling available during school hours for children who may have a hard time with this new school routine?
All of our services are still available. Everything that we would typically have is still available. And we've, you know, our district, I do pride it because in both Little Egg and Pinelands, we have extra mental health support, and our, you know, our school-based youth services is amazing. So all our supports are there.
Will cleaning, wiping down desks be done after each class period, and by who?
I think we went over this already also. This is not going to be done by, you know, a teacher or a custodian. We don't have the capacity for that. Students will have access to wipes, and they'll be expected to wipe down their area when they get there and when they leave.
Okay, I have several students in the district. My older child wants to return to school, but I will be homeschooling my younger children. Will there be an easy path for them to re-enroll back to public school when this is all over? And what do you require, like testing, to make sure they still are on grade level?
So if you're going to homeschool your child, you need to just send a letter to the district office or email saying, I'm homeschooling X, Y, and Z. We will disenroll your child. When they want to come back, we will re-enroll them and then place them in the grade where they're supposed to be. And then an assessment will be given just to see where they're at academically.
Question here about substitute teachers. Will we be using substitute teachers?
We plan on using them as we always have. However, I'm anticipating, you know, many of them not wanting to perform that.
Okay, will teachers have mandatory COVID tests like they're doing in nursing homes?
No.
This next one you answered. You said that if we have two children in different groups, we can change them to the same group. Is that correct?
Absolutely, because we did it by alphabetical order, and some households have students with different last names. So we will definitely adjust that. You're going to let the building principal know in the elementary district and the guidance department know in the junior high school.
6th grade will have specials, correct? Dr. McCoy?
Yes.
Yes.
How will students in resource room be accommodated since they are normally with the same teacher in a small group? Will it be virtual on the alternative days since the teacher normally wouldn't have students?
So what we're going to end up doing is, again, trying to minimize those transitions. Marissa Elwood and I are looking at all the schedules for the classes and seeing, you know, what the best fit would be in terms of students leaving the room and coming into the room versus teachers coming in and out of the room. And we're working with the principals on those schedules. Everything is still in process right now, depending on our staffing and depending on our students.
Thank you, Erin. What is the plan for all remote? What would their schedule be like? When will they find out our kid's teacher?
We'll find out your child's teacher if we are doing this AB thing or remotely. Same time, we just, towards the end of August, we get all that together. We have to iron out, you know, class sizes, who's remote, who's not remote. So we do need a few weeks for that. And the plan for 100% virtual will be similar to what we're doing now, but we will probably have a shortened day. We're required to have, John, 4 hours with the virtual?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, so we will probably shorten the day. However, it's going to be the same with live instruction.
Question, Dr. McCooley, will teachers be positioned under the ventilation system? I'm not really sure what that is.
No.
Okay. Do you know if Tuckerton Elementary students will be on the same schedule as siblings that are at Pinelands?
No, I do not. I don't know how they're planning that, but Tuckerton is open the same day as us, but they're doing a different rotation. They're doing the same group Monday, Tuesday, different group Thursday, Friday. So it's going to be, it's going to be a little bit different.
Where will there be football practice on days the student is not scheduled to be in?
Talking with Will, I don't remember. I don't think he was doing it like that. I think he was making it like the kids that were there were going to go those days, but that's something you would probably want to ask the athletic director.
If Central doesn't want to cross-contaminate with VOTEC buses, how will sports work? I think you talked about that. I don't know if you wanted to elaborate at all.
And this
The space. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Gina.
No, this one's just about confirmation on the actual schedule that they choose. Will they get confirmation about, is it 100% virtual learning, like you are now enrolled in virtual learning? Will they get confirmation about
Yes.
what they
Yes.
done?
And I apologize if we went through the slides too quickly, but once they select that virtual option on the survey that is going to be available on the website and emailed out, then they will get confirmation your child is enrolled in virtual learning.
Okay, this is, does basic skills fall under special education umbrella, or will there be more information available for these classes coming out? So in terms for basic skills, the services that we're offering will fall on your child's virtual day. So when they're not in school, the basic skills teachers will be working with them virtually to try to remediate any of the skills that there were regression.
This one's about if a child in your child's class is tested positive with COVID, will the other students and parents be notified?
And once again, I think we addressed this before. We really have to follow the CDC guidelines on that. So what we do is when the child is tested positive and the parent informs us, we call the CDC immediately and they tell us what to do.
Okay, this is about Chromebooks. So Chromebooks are going to be given to all students, K through 12th grade. And then if in the event that preschool needs to go virtual, Mrs. Flynn has Chromebooks available for each family. Gina, I'm not sure if you wanted to elaborate on that.
Yeah, so you will be hearing very soon from the principals on how we are going to be distributing all of the Chromebooks. They are all ready to go. So we actually wanted to get the Chromebooks out sooner than later. So we will be starting that process very soon so that students can have the devices in their hand. We will ask the students to bring them back and forth every day and make sure they have their charger. So they'll have to get into that routine. We will have loaner computers that will be sanitized, that if they do forget, that they can come to the media center in each building and take them out for the day.
This question is, will you be taking the temperature of the staff every morning? That's yes. Every person that enters the building needs to have their temperature taken. First time entry, they need to complete a COVID questionnaire, which will be tracked in our visitor management system.
That's a good question. That hasn't come up yet, and that's a good question.
I know. And then also someone was asking about the last name structure, which 2 days they'll be coming.
It was on the slide. It's A through the middle of the alphabet is A group and then vice versa. But I'm going to put that PowerPoint right on the website.
A lot of questions about if a teacher, I'm sorry, Gina, if a teacher or a student gets COVID within the class, what the procedures are. I think Karen Kenny answered that using the health department's recommendations and the regulations from the CDC. But Karen, I'm not sure if you wanted to jump in on that further.
Sure. Hi, everyone. If we have a positive test of COVID, we immediately will call the Ocean County Health Department, and they will give us exactly the guidelines of, were the students in the classroom within 6 feet? Were they wearing a mask? Were they social distancing? Was it more than 10 minutes in a section? So there's very strict guidelines. So I will tell you that in some experiences that have happened this summer in other districts for summer school, if they've had someone test positive, they have notified everyone in the district there was a positive case. They have to maintain confidentiality. And then as far as contact tracing, they do need to talk to everyone that student has been exposed to and let those people know. But again, confidentiality is key, as well as health and safety of everyone else. And we will follow exactly what the Ocean County Health Department requires us to do to make sure that we ensure the safety of all of our students and our staff at Pinelands and Little Egg Harbor School District.
Thanks, Karen. Some people are asking about the structure again, so just refer to the slides and then the presentation that we have on there. There was a few other questions. One came up about class size, Dr. McCooley, in the elementary level. How are we going to keep our class sizes down even at the 50%?
So that's a great question, and we actually have a mock classroom that we set up. So we have about 12 desks in that room, and that's a lot because at half capacity, we have 12. But you have to consider that already almost 30% of parents have said they're keeping their kids home. So we're going to have much less than 50% in the building at one time. But even with 12 desks in the classroom, which would say you have 24 students, which most don't, we are able to socially distance them appropriately.
Will children be wiping down the desks with chemicals? Will they be given gloves?
The sanitizing wipes are safe for students, and if we do have gloves available if a child wanted to put them on.
Are masks required for all students?
Yes.
How will you social distance the preschool students? A 3-year-old does not understand what social distancing is.
So we have a lot of social stories that we are prepared to work with the students on teaching them social distancing. Initially we will have their chair with their name and face on it. So when they enter the classroom, they will be asked to go and sit on their chair. Those chairs will be all spread out throughout the room, so they will automatically be social distanced in that way. And then the classes, the centers are also spread out. So we will have 2 to 3 children in each center, and as a result, they will automatically be social distance. So we will be working on it. Well, obviously, we know we're going to need to train them to be spread out and to be wearing their masks. I suggest that anyone that has a young child at home to please start practice wearing the mask, even if it's just at home during the day and just around the house. Just put it on for a little bit, and then eventually you can add to that time so that you can really prepare them for being ready to come in, keeping that mask on. You'd be surprised at how often or how quickly they can forget that they have it on. So we do have a plan in place for how we're going to keep them spread apart.
Thanks, Ann. This is a multi-part question. Does the school know how the cleaning procedures will be done on the bus? Will temperature scans be taken before going on the bus? Also, are students in Frog Pond staying in their classes for specials besides phys ed?
So the bus questions, they do have a new cleaning regimen that they are doing. We spoke with Patty from Durham. She's been amazing. They are not taking their temperature on the bus, but they are required to wear masks. And the special area one, John, what was that?
They wanted to know if they are going to be switching classes except for PE. So no, the special area teachers are going to be going into the classrooms and delivering instruction within there, so that way we can minimize the traffic moving about in the school. Are you supplying masks for students?
I had this question asked a couple times, and we have purchased for every staff member and student 3 masks at this point. So we do have them on hand, but we have been wearing masks since March. So I would suggest that your child wear the mask that they're comfortable with. So send them in with a mask, but we do have masks for them.
Can students use their own laptops?
I don't see why not, John. I mean, I don't see why they couldn't, as long as they kept it with them. And, we just don't want kids cross-contaminating different things, but I don't see why they couldn't use their own.
Also, will pre-K also have Wednesday off?
So can I just clarify something on Wednesday? And Dr. McCooley, please, jump in as well. But it's not that the students are off on Wednesday. So I'm just going to run you through sort of a scenario. So let's say our A group, who would come in Monday and Thursday, they would get instruction in class on Monday. Tuesday, they would tune in virtually from home. And then there would be assignments for students to do some self-directed, self-paced, personalized learning assignments through some of the supplemental websites that we use on Wednesday. Teachers may hold small group instruction on that day. If a student is struggling with the skill, they may check in and confer with them in different subject areas. They may still hold a morning meeting, but the way that the regulation is that we have to have 4 hours of instruction daily. So we're meeting that on Monday and Thursday when they come in, and Tuesday and Friday. Wednesday really is about giving students some personalized instruction, some time for them to practice the skills that they've been working, and for the teacher to teach in and support them at where they are, so to differentiate it. So I just want to reiterate that students are not off on Wednesday. It's just that everyone is working virtually and remotely, and the teacher can schedule meetings as needed for groups of students.
Thanks, John.
You're welcome.
Any other questions as we try to wrap up here? We're close to an hour.
So I was just going to reiterate that, or jump in with the Wednesday off. Preschool in-person planning is for 5 days. So if you're planning to have your child enter the preschool, the schedule is available for 5 days.
Thanks, Anne.
And then let me just I had someone just write to me privately, but I think it's good to say it to the group. So it's not Friday off either. So it would be, so Monday, let's say you're an A group. Monday you're in, Tuesday you're virtual. Wednesday, everyone's virtual. Thursday you would come in, and then Friday you would go in and you would check in virtually to participate in the lessons. For the B group, it would be the same thing, except Monday they're joining virtually. Tuesday they're coming in. Wednesday, everyone's virtual, and then so on. So that way it's on and off. The only day that's virtual is Wednesday. And we'll be sending out, once we've identified which group you're going to be with, we're going to give you, from the teacher's end, they're going to be giving you schedules on what exactly to expect. We're going to be using the same platform, which is Google Classroom, from preschool all the way to 12th grade. And then in addition to that, we're going to be offering some professional development for parents, so that way you can learn a little bit more about Google Classroom, how to navigate through that with your child, and then also some safeguards that you can put in place so that way you can check that the work is being completed and sort of check in on exactly what they're doing when they're on that platform.
Anything else, John, that we didn't go over yet? And I'm going to share that PowerPoint as soon as we're done here with our tech team so they can put it on the website.
I'm going to download the questions, and then we can go through, and then if there's anything else that we didn't answer, perhaps we can put an FAQ together for everyone.
Okay, and if your question wasn't answered or you're still confused about something, please just shoot us an email, shoot me a text, whatever you need.
And there's a question about the school calendar. The school calendar has already been approved. So
Right.
right now, that is still the school calendar.
And if we are going to change that, we're going to have to work with the Teachers Association and get it board approved. All right. All right. Anything else, please reach out. We will be putting those forms on the website. We'll put the PowerPoint up so you can have it, and just give us maybe till tomorrow morning for the forms, and we'll have those ready for you. All right, everyone have a great night. Thank you for participating. I'm sorry about what happened, and we're just going to move on. All right, everyone have a great night. Thank you.